I think this has become such a divisive issue among his base. I mean, I see comments all over the place. You have one side, they're like, he's a vaccine salesman, and he'll never get my vote again. The other side are like, look, this is a wartime. He's a wartime president. He had to make sacrifices. I'm trying to be objective and really understand what was happening. So even now, with all the information that we have access to, I find it hard to believe that he doesn't have some people that are telling him this is what the VAERS data is saying. There is evidence of people.
Yep.
Whereas with Candace Owens a couple of days ago, he said no one's died from the vaccine, and he also said that the people going to the hospital are the unvaccinated. So why do you think? Is it because maybe if he speaks out a little bit against it, the media is going to blame him for any unvaccinated death, or like, why do you think he's in this situation?
Well, because I mean, I'll return to my previous definition of leadership. Leadership is saying the truth. If you're not capable of saying the truth, then you're not a leader. And the fact of the matter is, there is not a single possibility that President Trump could possibly make the statement, no one has died from the vaccine, because in the clinical trials themselves, there were abnormal numbers of deaths in the vaccine population. Now, remember that you weren't allegedly considered vaccinated till post 14 days after receiving a shot. First time, by the way, in any vaccine trial where we allowed people to die from a shot, but it didn't count because it happened within 14 days. The fact of the matter is that Trump is lying, and we need to call it what it is, because integrity requires that we call it what it is. People died. Pfizer has a memo that they actually had published that said that there's an acceptable death rate in their vaccine program. Now, an acceptable death rate in any other product would not be tolerated, but an acceptable death rate in a vaccine program is tolerated. The fact of the matter is, if Trump ever read the VAERS statute, as I pointed out earlier in the 1986 Act, he would realize that there is a requirement for that to be correctly reported. The fact that Pfizer will not release the data on their adverse events and deaths, and they're pretending to need 55 years to do what took less than 120 days for the FDA to review. The fact of the matter is, people are bearing the evidence, and everyone knows it. This is a willful act of the malicious harming of Americans. This is a willful act of domestic terrorism. And I have been more than happy to hold the possibility that Trump was very poorly advised. But I'm running out of patience on that story very quickly. And I think a lot of people who would like to be able to support Trump in other ways are running out of patience on that story. Because the fact of the matter is, you do not promote a thing that is known to harm and kill young people, old people, to create myocarditis in the youth. You do not promote that and still have any modicum of ethical bones in your body. You cannot do that. It is incompatible. And we need to actually have the integrity of saying that.